going on, my archons of chaos? This is your King of the Night, Vince Valentine EX Turk. And let's get started on why should there be why Sqaure Enix needs to focus on the Final Fantasy VII Remake and nothing else. Yes, now this might get people mad because, you know, people want Kingdom Hearts 3 a little bit more than Final Fantasy VII Remake because there are the people who only play the Kingdom Hearts games, but let's just be quite honest, it'd be better off if they just push aside Kingdom Hearts 3, or if they release at the same time, that'd be pretty cool too. But, you know, I think from all this topic stuff I've been doing, and I've been arguing with, you know, Final Fantasy 15 haters, or fantards, and etc., and they say, we need to have a Final Fantasy 15 too. No, it wouldn't work out the same way if they did that. In fact, it'd be a good thing if they just had it. We got our Versus 13, even though it wasn't Versus 13. We got the game we wanted. You know, we got Final Fantasy 15. Was it the best Final Fantasy game ever? No. In fact, it probably would have gotten 8 if they would have stayed to the original script, but, you know, it is what it is. Instead, we should focus our money and time into the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because that is what's going to make a definitive moment in the Final Fantasy in the Final Fantasy community. That's what's going to make a huge impression. This game can make history if it's done right. This game could put Final Fantasy back on the map the way it should. You know, this will make Final Fantasy popular again and Final Fantasy great again. You know. Plus, there's already making DLC for Final Fantasy 15, so it's an ongoing game. So we don't need no more Final Fantasy 15 stuff besides DLC. Now, on the subject of games, we should focus on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because that's where it is nearly done as it is. Though, man, I just made a video about the voice acting being nearly done. So they really just call people to go back and shoot some lines. And you know what? It's already good the way it is. That they're going to actually put more, you know, they redid the lines, so this is going to end up way better. I don't know if this is the English voice actors or the Japanese voice actors, but nonetheless, this game may come out a little earlier than we expected. Probably late 2017, early 2018. Who knows? But, you know, and they've already put new combat system. They've already done a lot more stuff already. The Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be the definitive Final Fantasy. This is going to be the Final Fantasy that makes Final Fantasy great. 15 didn't do such a good job due to its ending, you know? So, let's focus on something that is actually more permanent and something that actually will work like the Final Fantasy VII Remake, you know? Now, could they mess this up? Yes, they absolutely can. They can. Again, we're going to get a different interpretation of Sephiroth. Sephiroth's going to be a different character than he was in the original. And I'm pretty sure Yuffie and Vincent are going to be different characters than from the original. Once you get them, of course. They'll be the extra characters. But nonetheless, you know, they're going back to the original Cloud. It still kind of looks like the Advent Children Cloud, but it isn't the Advent Children Cloud. It's back to being the original Cloud we all knew in the Final Fantasy VII original. You know, before he lost Aeris, before, you know, no offense, he became a little whiny. I mean, this is going to be the definitive Cloud, for sure. So if this is going to be the definitive Cloud, this should tell you this is going to be the definitive Sephiroth. But nonetheless, I think focusing on Final Fantasy VII Remake is exactly what we should do, you know. I think Sqaure Enix should pour their money into that instead of a Final Fantasy 15 sequel, because this is what's going to make Sqaure Enix go up in the polls. Remember, Final Fantasy 15 had a chance to do that, but Final Fantasy 15 has screwed up because of the Chapter 13 and ending. And, you know, and people want to blame Tabata for, oh, because he's censoring the games. No, it was social justice warriors that forced him to do that, you know. And I'm going to tell you right now with these SJW types, and I know I'll put SJWs in here, if a female character gets themselves hurt or anyway, these feminists get outraged and want that to change and say that's horrible, it has to change. And sadly as it is, they do have power over game journalism at best. They do have power over game journalists. That's just how it is. You know, that's just how it is. They own the game industry, the game journalism. You know, that's why game journalism is a joke, because it's not about content, story, or anything like that. It's about being progressive, and they're forcing progressive onto them. But you know, nonetheless, they're the ones who force some cuts in the Final Fantasy 15. Because even Tabata has to obey. Even Tabata has to obey his higher-ups. And to be quite honest, I think it's a crime for them to force him to make the game he really doesn't want to make. But, you know, and that's why I said another good reason why Final Fantasy 7 should be the main focus. Because this one is under the direction of Tetsuya Nomura, and I don't think there's going to be as pressured to keep things censored in Final Fantasy VII Remake than it is in 15. Even though they're using Unreal Engine, so you're not going to see soldiers bleeding when they get cut and stuff like that. You don't have to be, you know, there's not pressure to be over-the-top censoring, because, you know, this is a remake of an original game. This is not part of the number games. Any of the number games, yeah, you're going to have to make some changes. And we live in a world where progressivism is forced in our media. You know. So they couldn't have Luna getting hurt or as much, even though Luna did die in Final Fantasy 15. You know, the reason why I keep bringing that up is because Final Fantasy 7 is going to be living by a different set of principles since it's a different director. And I don't think, even though Tetsuya Nomura is a perfectionist, Tetsuya Nomura isn't going to just bow down and kiss feet. He's going to figure out a way to make the game he wants the game, while still having the vision of Sqaure Enix in mind, and also the vision of the remake as we remembered it, with new, you know, graphics and new gameplay. I don't know if anyone's following me, but Final Fantasy VII Remake has a chance to be the game it wants to be. Remember, 15 got cut because it was forced. And because being like one of the number games, you know, you're going to have to make some cuts because, you know, to avoid public scrutiny. And that's because game journalism, again, it's a joke. Game journalism is a joke now. And, you know, and it is. It always has. But it's not as bad. But the point is, Final Fantasy, even though if Tetsuya Nomura has to make cutbacks on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, he'll also put things he wants there to make it his own game, to make it the game he wants. You know, that's how. And in fact, Tetsuya Nomura is actually a creative director. So for him being the director, you know I chastise Nomura a lot for being a perfectionist, but this could be the blessing we need. This could be a blessing that Nomura's a perfectionist. He's not going to just back down and make the game that these wannabe journalists want. He's going to end up making the game he wants to make, you know. And with Catarse in control as well, Catarse has the same kind of mindset as Nomura. He wants to make this an actual remake that we remember, but with new gameplay and graphics. So pretty much, this is our childhood, but in the most evolved, graphical way possible. And with the Final Fantasy VII Remake, you try to censor anything in the Final Fantasy VII Remake besides Barrett's potty mouth, you're gonna be facing a lot of backlash. Even worse than what these game journalists can ever do to you. So this is a blessing. The Final Fantasy VII Remake is a blessing. It's a blessing from the heavens. It's a blessing from God himself. Because this remake won't have to go to cutbacks. Besides Barrett's potty mouth, you know, and, you know, they're going to have to change some things about the Honeybee Inn and, you know, prostitution stuff, you know, stuff that's in there. You know, Final Fantasy VII Remake will still be able to keep the spirit of Final Fantasy VII while also play as a new and intuitive game. And we all got to thank Catarse and Tetsuya Nomura for this stuff, because this is what's This game can't be like Final Fantasy 15 because Final Fantasy 15 had to get changed, redirected in a way where it still was a new game people enjoyed, but it had to have more progressivism in there, because it's forced in there. Progressivism is forced in any game nowadays, especially main game. Final Fantasy VII Remake doesn't really count as a main game because this is a total remake of an original game. So they could get away with a lot more in Final Fantasy VII Remake and make it enjoyable for us without being forced to be progressive. In fact, I don't even think you really need to be progressive in Final Fantasy VII because it already is a progressive game, The leader of Avalanche is a black male character. Tifa's a strong female character that feminists could look up to. We got all that. Cloud's forced to dress up as a female, so we got cross-dressing. So the game's already progressive overtones already. So if they tell us to cut some of the progressive overtones off in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, they would be doing themselves a disservice. It's already progressive enough. So, pretty much, in this game, they'll be able to get away with a lot more now. Because it's already a progressive enough game where they can do it. If you really didn't play the original Final Fantasy VII. But the point I'm trying to say is that, the point I'm trying to get with this is that they don't have to make cutbacks like Final Fantasy 15 did. The reason why Final Fantasy 15, besides Chapter 13, Chapter 13 was Tabitha's fault, and that was a bad move on Tabitha, that was a bad move, but, other than that, they had to make so many cutbacks on the Final Fantasy 15 because it's a main game, and not only that, it's just like, the problem with these certain type of game journalists, these pandering game journalists, is they want their games to make sure it has that it changes things. Because there's a scene that Final Fantasy 15 where Luna gets herself beat up by I think it's either Loki or Corgi, one of the two Niflheim generals. Well, we can't have that. No, you can't be hitting females in the game. That's sexist and misogynistic. No, patriarchy, rape culture. But no, in all seriousness though, they can get away with a lot more in Final Fantasy VII Remake because it's already progressive game that they can put anything they want. And even if they have to change some things, Tetsuya Nomura's a creative director. With the help of Katase, they'll be able to slip in some things that they won't even notice. And they won't even notice. So they can get away with making the best game in the world. Because this one, you're going to have to take risks. In Final Fantasy VII Remake, there's no other way but to take risk. You're going to have to take a lot of risk in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because this is Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is a risky game as it is. You got Cloud cross-dressing, you got a six-wing angel trying to destroy the world with meteor. You got, corporate greed. You got so many big, mature themes in Final Fantasy VII that, taking out one of those themes would kill the game. The only thing I can understand that they could change, unless this gets an M rated when it comes out, if it gets an M rated, then they don't have to change it. But if this is rated to Barrett's potty mouth, that's the only thing that could be changed without affecting the game as much as if they would have changed things. If they would have took out the cross-dressing Cloud, it would be angry keyboard warriors. If they took out, Aeris's death because feminists don't want to see Aeris get killed by Sephiroth, again, you'd have an angry type letter because it's an iconic moment in the game. And nonetheless, it's all fiction, but nonetheless, Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be able to get away with a lot more stuff. And that's why we need this. That's another reason we need this. We get to actually have a game we actually want for the first time in a long time. This is the game we want. This could be the game we wanted for a long time. Because 15 disappointed. Let's be quite honest with ourselves. Let's stop bullshitting ourselves and think we need a sequel when we don't. We need that the Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is our only hope. Final Fantasy VII Remake is our only hope. So I'm going a little bit overboard. So may the crystal be with you, and let's make sure this game turns out.